Hey guys, welcome to the studio. Today we'll be creating some art that was inspired by the author and illustrator Eric Carle. You've probably heard of him before. He wrote lots of children's books that are very well known, including The Hungry Caterpillar. Here's the example that I made, and now I'll go ahead and show you how to get started. So the supplies you'll need for today's project, you'll need a small container with just a little bit of water in it, some like washable Elmer's glue, a pair of scissors, a pencil if you want to draw your design out first, and then the brush, we'll use that to apply like the paste solution that we'll make with the glue and water. And then you'll also need tissue paper, and I've just used tissue paper that I had laying around the house. It may or may not like bleed, or the colors may or may not spread out when the paste is added. You can buy online at different art vendors. You can buy like from Dick Blick or Jerry's Artorama the kind of tissue paper that will bleed, and so your colors will blend, but it works with either, so you can just use what you have around the house. And then you also need for your background paper, I've got a piece of watercolor paper which is kind of thick, but you could also use cardstock or a mixed media paper for the background. And so now to get started, I'm going to slide this stuff out of the way. And we're going to draw out our design first. And we're making a collage today. And if you're not familiar with what collage is, it's just a picture or a work of art that's created from gluing pieces of paper onto a background. And so essentially this is our background, the watercolor paper is. And I'll be using the tissue paper as the pieces of paper that will create my collage. We're going to talk about creating balance today. We'll be using symmetry, and you could apply this process to any type of art, but I do this with my first graders, and we usually do insects. And so today I'm going to do a butterfly for my design, and I'm going to create balance. And a butterfly has balance because it's the same on both sides. And so balance is just how your lines, shapes, and colors are arranged. And so it has symmetry. When we draw a butterfly, a heart and a diamond are also an example. When you divide something down the center and it's the same on either side, that means it's symmetrical and it gives it a good even balance. And so we're going to do that today within our artwork. The other thing you want to think about when you start adding the paper for your collage is you want to think about contrast. So after I draw the butterfly and start gluing the tissue onto the paper, I want to make sure like that the edge of the butterfly wings are very different from the background, because you want your butterfly or your subject that you draw to show up. And so down at the bottom I've shown yellow and purple. These are all complementary colors. They create really good contrast because they're opposites and they show up really well next to each other. So that's something that I'll keep in mind when I start adding the tissue paper. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and draw out my design. Okay, so now that I've gotten my basic design drawn out, I'm going to show you how to mix the paste solution. My water in my container comes to just right about there. It's not very much, just kind of covers the bottom of this little bowl I have.
So now I'm going to pour about the same amount of glue in. Does not have to be exact. Okay, so now I've basically got this nice paste mixture that I can use to attach the tissue paper onto my paper. And so I'm going to begin, you can tear the tissue or you can cut it, it's just really your personal preference. Start with some pink. And maybe a little bit of green for contrast. So I'm just going to tear small pieces, and anytime you're ready to attach some, you can kind of paint in a shape. I wouldn't paint a large area because the paste will dry pretty quickly. I'm just kind of working in this shape right here, and I'll just kind of glue a piece, and you can fold it back like if you don't want it to overlap into the circle, and then you can also go on top with the paste and fill in an area, and you can mix colors. Like if I wanted to use blue and pink in this section, you can overlap them and your colors will kind of mix, or you can keep it to where it's just one color. But now essentially what I'm going to do is just go in and fill in the butterfly and my background, and I'll just remember to keep contrast in mind when it's time to choose my colors in the background. And you may want to do that first, is get your background color in so you can know not to use that color on the outside edges of your design so that everything will show up. At this point, I'll just continue with the tissue paper.
Okay, so here's my finished product, and you'll notice it looks a little bit different. The reason why is I took a black pen and I outlined like the antenna and around the outside of the butterfly. I felt like the contrast just wasn't enough. So if you're not completely happy with your finished product, when it dries, remember that you can take a black marker, pen, crayon, and you can add to it and draw on it, or you could also use colors. But I felt like that really helped my artwork a lot. I hope you had fun making yours today. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.